What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. Today we're going to take a little talk about the Boost Aura, and more importantly, the Drain Aura mod. Now, before we get into that, I just wanted to say, I know I had promised I was going to be doing a big Dungeon Defenders 2 giveaway live stream today. However, I did have a few things come up that is going to take up my afternoon. Now, I will be doing some fairly large Dungeon Defenders 2 giveaways in this upcoming weekend on live streams. Now, let's jump right into the Boost Aura. Basically, the Drain Aura mod is getting used quite a bit by a lot of different people. It's super effective, and there's many ways to use it. Generally speaking, my go-to setup is Drain Aura, Defense Range, and Anti-Melee, with Deadly Strikes, Vicious Strikes, and Vampiric Empowerment. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, well, what about Boosted Grasp? Why not Boosted Grasp? And then you can use that Controller Servo, and then Controller is going to give you an anti-mod that applies to every enemy while they are boosted. And there's a few different reasons. First things first, the enemies that really need the additional damage are enemies that are immune to crowd control or immune to the boosted grasp. So the Berserkers and the Chieftain in Chaos 10 are what is going to be pushing through your build. With that in mind, Controller's not going to do anything for you against those mobs. Now, in a situation like doing, say, floor 972 Onslaught, you're going to have crowd control on every lane, or you're likely to have crowd control on every lane. However, the Boost Aura is not a defense you're going to be using against enemies that are that healthy. It's more of a farming relic that you can use throughout expeditions. It just owns Chaos 10. It's not going to be super effective against 2 billion health enemies. That is just for certain. Now, there's another big reason. Let's take a look at the Boosted Grasp in action here. So, with Boosted Grasp, we are doing 750,000 damage per tick. Now, the Drain Aura mod cannot crit, so crit is never going to be a factor in using this particular build, as crits are not possible with that particular mod. So 749,000 with Boosted Grasp. Now, let's take that Boosted Grasp out of there, and we'll throw the Vampiric Empowerment back in. And now we're doing 1,024,000 damage. So a nice big jump in damage just for using Vampiric Empowerment. Additionally, when you have Boosted Grasp installed, or just don't have Vampiric Empowerment installed, when you upgrade this item, you are not going to get any upgrade value. So you see we're still at 750,000 damage per tick, making it so upgrades are not doing anything for us. Now, if we go ahead and place that back down at Tier 1, and we take a look at it with Vampiric in the mix, Vampiric is going to get value from upgrades. Now, it's not a tremendous value, but it is increased value. So we see as we're upgrading it, the damage is going up about 20,000-ish, a little over 20k per upgrade. So when we get it upgraded all the way up, it's about 100,000 more damage per tick. Now, 100,000 more damage per tick is pretty trivial, but it is a straight up 10% gain-ish on this particular item. So you're going to get about 10% more power out of your Drain Aura by using Vampiric and upgrading it. Now, why stack so much range? Well, of course, with something like this, range is the name of the game. The more range you can get, the better off you're going to be. With that in mind, taking a look at it with a range mod, Deadly Strikes and Vicious Strikes, we are still not at the range cap. The range cap on this one is 2,500. However, we're getting to 2,345, so we're getting pretty darn near the cap without any outside influences. Now, if you used a range Pylon, you will see that is going to take us all the way up to the 2,500 range. However, you're investing more DBU into something for very little range. Now, that range Pylon brings up another topic. I know a lot of people are using this with Destructive. Well, Destructive is not doing anything for you, y'all. So if we take a look at the booster again, let's go ahead and upgrade it so it's a nice evenish number at 1.1 million. And then we can take a look at all of the pylons here. So we got health pylon as well. Now, since vampiric is basing itself off of the defense health of an item, increases defense power to the effective tower by 76% of its defense health, you would think you would get a gain out of a health pylon. However, you're not getting a gain out of health pylon or destructive pylon. Neither of these are affecting this mod. So going and using destructive pylon or health pylon is not giving you any additional value. So there is no reason to throw destructive pylon into the mix. You see, we're still at the 1.1 million, whether destructive is there or not. Now, there are lots of valid options for using this one, and there's no wrong answers, really, considering its best use is going to be like for farming Chaos 10 maps. Use whatever you want, y'all. Any setups are going to get the job done still, as long as you are paying attention for any stray leaks. So I'm using Draenor, defense range, anti-melee with Deadly, Vicious, and Vampiric. By all means, use Controller Servo and use Boosted Grasp. Now, you're not going to get as much value out of it, but it's still going to get Chaos 10 victories without a doubt. Additionally, you can get rid of the anti-mod altogether and go with something like Melee Boom. This is going to be a little bit meanier, and it's going to be much more effective the earlier you are in the game. So if you're in Chaos 7 using this relic with Melee Boom, it's going to do a much better job than if you were at Chaos 10 using the same item. So anything is really possible. Any combinations of mods with it are going to be very, very possible. I would say take defense range as the godly role, as that's going to give you a little bit more base range that's straight numeric and additive. And then I like to use the defense range mod with Deadly and Vicious. Now, as I mentioned, just about any way you build this, you're going to get wins in Chaos 10. So by all means, experiment, do what you think is working out best for you. One other thing to note as far as the build style itself. Now, this build is really going to shine with an anti-heal in the mix. So for me, the best results have been 3 boost stars in a row down the lane, giving the enemies a massive amount of area to come through with an anti-heal flame aura. So I've got an anti-heal flame aura right parked in the middle of all of it. Now, with that in mind, the reason I bring that up is I will say using this exact same build in a configuration like this, I personally am not getting results as good. So you might think, well, why not just stack them all on top of each other and do a nice little spawn camp? The results for me personally are just not there. I have more enemies leaking through a setup like this than I do if I spread it all the way down the lane. So I would say if you're going to play around with the Draenor mod, put them in a row, y'all, and just give it a massive amount of coverage that the enemies need to walk through and get those damage ticks on them all at the same time. So what's your favorite way to use the Draenor mod? Let me know down in the comments below. And if I have any extra mods laying around and available, I will swap some things around and try out some of your suggestions. But that will do it for this episode. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.